Hey, I'm Claire.
Hey, I'm Alaina.
And welcome to episode number 1 of Making Sense of Movies with Clare and Alaina. And in this podcast, we're going to be talking about a movie genre or a subject each episode, and then we're going to break down 5 movies every single episode. But today we're going to be talking, so
today we're going to be talking about romance movies.
Yes.
Everyone's favorite genre.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there might not be romance in our lives, but
there are
watch it
the
on the
movies.
screen. For sure. Okay.
Who cares about romance in our own lives? We can just watch movies all day.
Exactly. That's how we get our...
Okay, so these top 5 are not ranked. They're just 5 great movies in general. But we're going to start off with Brooklyn, directed by John Crowley. One of my favorite films of all time.
Came out in 2015.
Yeah, so if you don't know, it's basically the story... I forgot what's her character's name?
Elise?
Eilish? Saoirse Ronan plays an Irish immigrant into New York, Brooklyn.
She's really good.
She's amazing, and basically it's about her kind of coming of age in this new city, and she meets a lovely man named, I think his name's Tony?
Yeah, his name's Tony, and it's also very complicated because there's also another man named Jim, played by Domhnall Gleeson, who's back in Ireland. So I love Domhnall Gleeson in this. So it was really hard for me because I was like, oh, they're both such good guys, and I just don't know who would be best for her.
I'm smiling just thinking about her and Tony. They're my favorite couple. So that's what this whole movie basically follows, and the reason we picked it as one of our favorite romance novels is because anytime I watch it, I just automatically smile because the performances are great. You can see how in love they are. And I want that.
They're just so cute. And
so cute.
I also love how, in addition to being a romance story, it's also just a good story about transitioning to a new place and how people in your life can help you with that transition.
Yeah, like she starts out like very homesick and very kind of shy and timid, and she like gets a job and goes to school, but also like, falls more and more in love, not only with the man, but with like the city itself. And it's not just like, her growth isn't just connected to a man, it's connected to kind of everything else too. Like, it's her own personal growth, which I really like too, because a lot of romances, it's centered around kind of the guy and girl, and usually the guy is the one that's growing, and the girl is kind of just on the side. And it's a little bit of a reversal here. Like, she grows, he kind of grows too, but...
He's also just cute.
He's
there,
cute.
and they dance together, and that's super cute.
Oh my god, when they first meet, and he's like, oh, like, I'm not Irish. And she's like, oh, really? Like, couldn't tell. He's like, I just like Irish girls. And he was just so earnest.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I love about it. He's so earnest. Like, he just clearly loves her.
Yeah, and going back to the Italian thing, there's that one scene where he's like, oh, do you like Italian food? And she's like, oh, I've never tried Italian food. But I don't know. They're just like, the dynamic between them is just so good. Yeah. It's just so wholesome. Which, in some of these movies that we're choosing, particularly one of them, not too wholesome. I won't say which one, but you'll know.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. Plug for later, but this is not a toxic relationship.
No, very healthy.
Very
I
healthy.
love it. Yeah, who's the actor that plays Tony?
It is,
Emery Cohen?
Emery Cohen. What else?
Don't know. He's in the OA. Also a great TV show. Another time.
Emery Cohen?
Yeah. He's so cute in this movie.
He's kind of ugly in real life.
Claire!
I'm so sorry.
He's really not, though. I think it's just bad pictures. Oh, in this movie is Tony. He's adorable. Like, I date him.
He's cute as Tony. I mean...
No one else.
You be the judge. Google Emery Cohen. Emery Cohen. If
Comment.
you're listening.
Comment. Do you think thumbs up or thumbs down?
Oh my gosh. Hold on.
Oh my god, the thing on his IMDb page is trailer for Brooklyn.
Yeah. The only good thing he's actually no.
Stop it!
So
You have to watch. Okay, we're digressing. The OA is a great TV show. RIP, it's not on anymore. Netflix canceled it. Still very upset over that.
I don't recognize anything else he's been in. But besides the OA, but I haven't seen that.
Yeah, he hasn't been in anything else I've particularly seen.
He's good in this, though.
He's good in this,
Yeah,
though.
I
love
didn't
him.
digress. He's good in this.
Claire might not like him, but we love him in Brooklyn. That's
Okay.
the ending.
If you were in Brooklyn, are you choosing Tony over
Yes!
Dom?
I have not even mentioned Domhnall Gleeson's character. That's my worst part of the movie, when she goes back and she's like torn between Domhnall Gleeson, and I'm like, you have a perfectly lovely Italian-American boyfriend at home.
I just think he's nice too.
But that he's not nice. I understand why. Like, she goes back to Ireland. Like, it's supposed to show that she's, you know, she's changed and she's no longer, like, that young girl that was in Ireland. And, like, I love that portion of it. And, like, and it's also just, like, that she could still have a life, but it's not, like, the life she wants. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, cool. But also, like, remember that Italian-American boyfriend you have. Because I do. I did not forget him.
Oh my god.
The ending scene where, like, he doesn't know if she's, so, like, she goes back for, should we do spoilers in this?
Yeah.
The movie's been out for a while. I hope you've seen it.
Yeah.
Her sister dies, so she goes back for the funeral and she stays to help out the mother. And she kind of just, like, tells her boyfriend, Tony, like, I don't know if I'll be back. And he's just kind of like, okay, like, I'm gonna let you go. Like, I love you. And then at the end, like, she comes back and she finds him and he's so happy and they have this gorgeous, like, lovely shot hug that ends the whole movie, and I'm like, true love does exist.
Yeah, I love that part, and I love that they're so sensual, but they don't have to, like, explicitly show them having sex or anything.
Yeah, I like that too.
They have, in a lot of romance, just, like, a lot of kissing, but you don't necessarily have to be kissing all the time and be all over each other to show that you love one another, and I think that just shows what good writing it is in Brooklyn, though. Like, we can all tell that, like, oh, yeah, these two are obviously in love.
Yeah, they're truly my MVP. There's another couple in here that is also MVP. Oh, so it's based off a novel by Colm, so I don't know how to pronounce his name, Toybin, but it's written by Nick Hornby, who's written, like, novels and other screenplays, so definitely well written. So, overall, good film. We loved it. Top 5 romance films.
Actually, a few of these on here are novels.
So this one's based off. Oh, you're right. Yeah, put them all based off novels. Okay, so our next one is
Bright Star. Okay, and I had not seen this before.
I have.
And Alaina was like, Claire, like, you gotta watch this, and I did, and I'm very upset because
if you
spoilers, doesn't end well. I mean, it ends well, but
it doesn't end well.
Halfway.
So if you don't know what Bright Star is about, basically it's about the romance between John Keats and Fanny, what's her name? Should know this. It's also a musical, so don't get confused with that. It is not the musical, it is a movie. So it's by Fanny Braun. So it's their romance in the 19th century. It's directed by Jane Campion and also written by her, which is pretty cool. So I think of the list, she's our only female director, and maybe not writer, but definitely director. I freaking love this film. I saw it by accident. I was just, like, on Netflix, and I was in, like, my watching Paddington, and I was, like, really into Ben Whishaw, and I was like, oh, this movie sounds cute. Watched the entire thing and was like, this is amazing. I love every minute of it.
Yeah, no, really good romance between the two. And just what I love is from the beginning, even though it's a period piece, it's a very modern romance, I feel like, because the way they just act, especially Fanny in the beginning, it's all the action she does is very much like you would do in a classroom to your crush, like staring across the room when he's not looking,
or like getting into his interest.
Yeah.
But Fanny's also like a great character to follow. Like, she's a seamstress. She makes her own money. She like makes fun of him and his friend's poetry. If you don't know, John Keats is a poet. And the reason I think his most famous stuff is his letters to Fanny Braun. So that's what this movie kind of has the context around those letters, which are so beautiful and, like, lovely.
I haven't read any of the letters before, but it does make me want to go back and read the letters between the two of them.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is that I just remember watching it, and, like, different to Brooklyn is that their chemistry together is incredible. Like, you can tell they both like each other, and they just need to talk to each other. Like, they don't need to be doing anything else. And maybe it's also, like, the period piece kind of atmosphere that's like, okay, they aren't necessarily going to be touching and kissing a lot, like that's just how it is, but I just love them together, and I love like their interactions and like their flirting,
it was some good flirting,
some good flirting in this movie.
Period piece flirting.
Like, honestly, like, if a guy flirted with me the way he did with her, like, come on, take some notes. I enjoyed that.
And what you were saying, you said atmosphere, and just the atmosphere throughout the whole movie is really good. Because
I love
the color tone. And
the cinematography.
It's also gentle, I feel.
Yeah, that's what I really like about this movie. Everything is, like, their first kiss is hands down. I told Claire that's before she watched it, one of my favorite first kisses of all time. And it's very similar to one of our other first kiss in one of these films. But they did it first. So, yeah, everything's just, like, I love how gentle. I think that's my favorite thing, is that they're very cognizant of each other and each other's boundaries.
Yeah.
And they want to kind of, cherish every moment they have together.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember the one scene where she's got her hand out and he, like, caresses her hand? Do you remember that? They were at the dinner table together.
Oh, was that during Christmas?
Yeah, it was during the Christmas.
Oh my god, yeah.
I love that scene.
Yeah, and the brother's just packing away his violin.
Yeah, that's the part.
Being like, okay.
Yeah. Like, after that part's like, oh, you know this is real. You know this is gonna happen. Mm.
Yeah. Oh my god, he gets all jealous from that other guy. What's the other poet's name?
Oh, I don't know. He was a jerk.
He was a dick.
Yeah.
Don't be that other poet, be John Keats. Yeah.
Always be John Keats.
Always be John Keats.
But don't die early. Spoiler
alert. Spoiler alert, he dies.
Don't die of an illness because you're in the winter without a coat.
Yeah, he
that's
has
what happens.
19th century medicine, man.
Yeah.
They don't really get it. It was also sad his brother dies, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Sad news.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just love this film. The costumes are also great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the costumes are
So
good.
Fanny, she sews all her own costumes. Her costumes are pretty, like, extravagant compared to everyone else. Like, she's using so much color, and everyone else is just, like, muted tones, which I really like, because it kind of makes her stand out.
Was this nominated for anything when it came out?
So.
Because I feel like it should have been nominated for costumes, probably.
Scroll up. We're on IMDb right now. Yeah, it was nominated for
one Oscar. Okay. Oh yeah,
costume design.
All
That's
right.
what I thought. They were really well done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm surprised more people don't know about this movie, honestly.
Yeah, Claire did not know it when I said it. None of my sisters heard about it. It was on Netflix. Like, I figured, like, someone knows about it.
I know.
Please watch it and comment.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to talk about this movie with someone else who's actually seen it.
Okay, but the ending, guys, it was so sad.
She wears black the rest of her life.
I was devastated. I was like, this can't end the way I think it's going to end. And I was texting Alaina, and I was like, he better not die. Like, Alaina, don't die.
Yeah, I thought Claire knew about John Keats. Apparently she didn't.
Okay.
I didn't know either watching the movie. Like, when she reads some of his letters out loud for the audience, I'm like, oh, like, these kind of sound familiar. And then I was like, don't really remember who this is. And I, like, looked up John Keats after, and I was like, oh, now it all makes sense.
I don't want to seem like a complete idiot in episode 1, but I did not know this was based on a true story.
I didn't know going into it.
Yeah.
I knew, like, after when I was, like, obsessed, and I was like, okay, now I need to know everything about that.
No, I didn't know until you told me.
Also, I feel like this movie as well has great lines about love in general.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find some quotes, but, like, so great. He just really loves her, man.
Yeah. And Ben Whishaw, he kills it in everything.
He does. He's a pretty great actor.
He's got like a really good range from like you said he's in Paddington to like James Bond.
Yeah, Paddington. We could talk about that movie another time. Such a great.
And Mary Poppins, even though I didn't see the new Mary Poppins movie.
I didn't see that either. Okay, so should we move on to our next movie?
Next is Call Me By Your Name.
The Timothée Chalamet stands are with us tonight.
I would hope so.
So if you have not heard of Call Me By Your Name, I don't know.
It's hard not to.
It's hard not to. It
honestly.
came out like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. It was nominated for Best Picture.
Yes, Best Actor Timothée Chalamet. Mm-hmm. Won for Best Screenplay by James Ivory.
Very, very well done.
Very well done. James Ivory, if you don't know, also did Maurice, which is another like great gay period piece. So this one is set in somewhere in Italy in the 1980s, early 1980s, and it follows...
the summer of 1983. Oh, thank you very much.
Excuse me. And it basically follows this, like, 17-year-old kid as he falls... Like, the summer as he falls in love with basically this grad student who is staying at his parents' house. And despite the age gap, which at first is, like, a bit jarring, they do have a great love story.
Yeah. It's a very slow burn.
Oh, it's a slow burn. Would we say slower than Bright Star?
Yeah, absolutely slower than Bright Star. Because I feel like...
I don't think they kiss until like an hour into the movie.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they don't. And Call Me By Your Name, it's 2 hours and 12 minutes long.
It's a long movie. I do admit. A little bit too long in my own opinion. But I also think every movie is too long.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because Bright Star is only 1 hour and 59 minutes. Actually, that's not too much. That's not
a big difference.
Yeah.
So when I said before, kiss scenes are very similar to Bright Star. If you have not seen Bright Star and Call Me By Your Name, they both have their first kiss kind of in this like grassy area, this like secluded, isolated area. Bright Star, it's a bit more gentle. Call Me By Your Name, it's a bit more intense.
And they're a little
he's a little handsy.
Aggressive. A little aggressive
He's
for each other.
He's a little handsy.
Yeah, for sure.
But I listened to the audiobook before watching this. And I highly suggest you read the novel if you haven't. It's really well done. The author, Andre Ackerman, is really great. He's writing a sequel, or wrote a sequel. It's coming out at some point some point in life. But yeah, what do we like about this movie, Claire?
Well, I was actually going to ask you, how do you think the book is different from the movie? Like, how do you think their romance was adapted? Do you think it was adapted well to the screen?
It's been a while. I listened to it like 2 years ago. I think it was definitely a really good adaptation. There's a big chunk of it that goes missing when they go to Rome. It's a bit different, the way they do it in the novel versus what they do in the movie, but also like the ending's a little different. I think the ending in the movie, he gets that phone call and Oliver, spoiler alert, is getting married. In the book, they actually flash forward 15 years. So have you ever heard of those rumors of like, oh, Call Me By Your Name's getting a sequel? That's kind of what they want to base it off of, which is that flash forward from 15 years. And Elio basically goes to visit Oliver. And basically, and the whole book is told in Elio's point of view and really in his head. And he kind of realizes that Oliver loved him just as much as Elio loved Oliver. And that was also like a really great scene. Just like little things, but I feel like overall it was a good adaptation.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, there were just so many great parts. I love Armie Hammer in this.
I know, Armie Hammer, I have to admit, has not done well movie-wise.
That's true, yeah.
Over, like, the last 10 years, he's definitely been building up, but this, I feel like, was the beginning of him kind of being like, I do pick good movies. Like, don't at me.
Mm-hmm. Like, I love the one scene where he's dancing. I forget what song it's to, but...
Oh, yeah.
It was just such a pretty scene. It was so colorful. And just the whole movie, it's very beautiful.
It's very kind of nature-oriented. There's a lot of, like, shots of them just, like, casually riding bikes in fields, and their first kiss takes place by, like, Monet's supposed place where he would paint. Like, art and nature is very much woven into this movie, which I actually enjoyed. I thought it's definitely like a slow burn. Like nothing, I feel like happens. It's one of these movies where not much truly happens in the grand scheme of like their lives, but it's a very like particular moment.
It's more just like the tone of it.
Yeah.
And oh gosh, and the ending with the credits rolling and is Elio? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah. Have you seen? Not Are You the One? Have you seen the other two?
No.
So other two, this is a tangent, but it's a comedy on Comedy Central, like a 30-minute, and in one of the episodes, they recreate that. It was, I literally was not expecting it, and it's so funny. Oh. He's like crying, and his like sister's in the background. The mom's like, "What is he doing?" She's like, "Oh, he's doing the Call Me By Your Name thing," and I was like, "Oh, so it's like officially known now."
It's just like the thing I love about that ending is it feels so personal, and there's some moments in film where even though the camera's there, it's just I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be watching this because it's just so personal. It's just like I need to leave. Yeah,
I remember seeing it I saw this in the theater. Mm-hmm. I remember just being like, at that point it was like winter, so I'm like, when is this movie going to end? I was like, everything that happened, and then. I was like, and they had that scene, and I was like, oh, I understand why they waited a little bit. Like, that was definitely a moment where I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And that crying scene went on for, like, a long time, but it was very necessary.
The songs, too, I have to admit, this is one of my favorite, like, soundtracks. I listen to it when I study. Mm-hmm. Call Me By Your Name soundtrack, very great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good movie.
I feel like we can't do this movie without mentioning Michael Stuhlbarg.
Yeah, no, I was just about to say, I was pulling it up, but I didn't know how to pronounce his last name. But he was just killing it the year this came out.
That year he was killing
Call Me
it.
By Your Name, Shape of Water, The Post. Yeah, The Post, he was in that.
Michael Stuhlbarg, I really have not heard of him until these movies came out, because that year he was like, I also saw Shape of Water. Mm-hmm. He was like in everything. I was like, oh, like who is this guy? And I didn't realize he's like a very famous actor.
I know, and he gives a very good speech in Call Me By Your Name.
Yes, I really like that. It's obviously like, I feel like everyone, they like that speech, but it was also great for the character himself. Mm-hmm. The parents aren't truly like, they're kind of just there in the film.
They're good parents.
They're good parents.
They're good parents.
Which is, not everyone's good parents.
No, especially
in LGBT films.
Yeah.
There's always like this coming out. That's what most films seem to center on, and this film was truly not that. Mm-hmm. It was just this love story. Like, there was no need to come out or to have this any kind of negative like backlash to it, which is really great because it kind of showed a different type of LGBTQ films that I like thoroughly enjoyed. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good movie. Oh, what about our favorite scene with the night vision scene?
Oh my god!
All right, guys.
Okay, so this is our one tea about Call Me By Your Name. So there's this like point. It's like it's the ending. I think it's when they're in Rome, and Elio kind of has this like weird flashback, and it's like this what is it?
It's like night vision. It like goes
heat vision.
It's like, is it heat vision?
Yeah, it's like red and green, and it's a bunch of shots of Elio and Oliver. And you understand, I read so many reviews of this movie trying to find someone that mentioned this scene. Like literally, Luca Guadagnino. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's just one of those things where I remember it, but then I was like, did that really happen? And then I think you brought it up to me, and I was wondering the same thing.
There's no context for it.
It's so out of place because the rest of the movie, as we talked about, is
very natural.
Very natural, and it's got like the same color scheme.
Natural lighting, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and this is just like, what is even going on?
So please let us know. Like that's my one tea. Like, and no one in the review said anything. I read so many.
Yeah. And
no one was like, damn, that weird, heat vision scene. Like, what was with that? No one said that. Maybe it was like a weird thing of like, are you going to like, but they just put it in there just to fuck with us.
Perhaps. And I don't think it was even of anything. It was just an empty road, right?
No. There was a scene of Elio and Oliver.
Oh, okay.
Together.
I don't really remember that as much, but that
scene was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird scene.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. All right. Do you have any last words on Call Me By Your Name before we move on?
I hope they make a sequel. I hope Ellie and Oliver get together. They truly do love each other.
Yeah. I want them to be happy. If I can't see Fanny and Ben Whishaw from Bright Star be happy together.
Someone has to be happy. Someone
needs to be happy.
Yeah, so far both of some of our movies end in
No, Brooklyn
was happy.
Bright Star, not so much. Call Me By Your Name has the potential in the sequel to have it happen.
It's true. So our next movie is a bit out there for the romance, but it's like one of Claire's favorites. Claire, would you like to explain what this movie is?
So our next movie is Phantom Thread. Came out in 2017, also a period piece. And the reason I chose
that's the same year as Call Me By Your Name.
Yeah. Okay.
Directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, if you don't know who he is. PTA for short, as we like to call him.
PTA. So the reason I chose this is because it's a very, when you're watching, it's from Elma's perspective, basically the whole time. And she's kind of not being treated that well by Reynolds, played by the wonderful Daniel Day-Lewis.
May he rest in his retirement.
And it's just this really weird relationship between the two. And Reynolds is clearly the one who holds all the power in the situation. And you almost feel bad for Elma, and you're like, why is she in this relationship?
Yeah.
And you don't get the payoff until the very, very end, when you figure out Elma's been poisoning him the whole time in order to take care of him.
Not the whole time. I thought it was just that one time.
It was that one time, but when he was getting sick throughout the movie.
Did I not understand that?
I think it was her poisoning him, wasn't it?
I thought it was... No, she said that she got, like, really upset and she poisoned him when he got really sick at the end of the movie, and then she poisons him again when they're at the cottage.
Yeah.
I thought that was the only 2 times she poisons him.
Well, at least that's it. For poisoning someone.
On-screen poisoning, it happened twice.
2. So I feel like that's pretty significant. And you don't realize till the end that they're kind of perfect for each other because you think it's Reynolds who holds all the power, but really it's the two of them.
Yeah, they have different power dynamics.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't really have a job. The one thing I did say about this movie, like, we don't know enough about Alma.
Mm-hmm.
As to, like, why she enjoys Reynolds, like, very much like a child.
Yeah.
Which is, like, the one thing I left it, like, when I ended the movie, because I hadn't seen this before, I was like, I kind of wish I knew a bit more about her, because the way she's introduced is just, like, at that scene in the cafe. Mm-hmm. So, like, we've already been introduced to Reynolds for a bit. Like, you kind of see a little bit about his process with fashion. And then, you know, he meets her and he basically whisks her away. Like, he's kind of portrayed a little bit as this, like, knight in shining armor, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, definitely, I would not support this sort of relationship in real life, but I thought it was very interesting on screen.
Yes. I admit that, too. I think I really liked their relationship, mostly because you see in the beginning of the movie, he has this, like, girlfriend, and the sister is like, I gotta let her go. Mm-hmm. So it's a great line. I can't have confrontation in the morning. No, and then she kind of, Alma, like, despite her upbringings, whatever they are, the fact that she was a waitress in this very small town, and also she's an immigrant? She's from another country. She's not from Britain.
Yeah,
I don't know where. They mention it in the film. They're like, oh, people from her country. Like, they kind of do that against her. And I was still very confused about where she's from. I don't think they explicitly say anything. Mm-hmm. But the fact that she's able to stand up for herself, like, she's like, I'm waiting. There's that scene when they're having dinner, and she's like, I'm just waiting for you to break up with me. Yeah. Like, I don't want that. And she kind of takes control, which I did enjoy. Like, she's not as meek as she appears to be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What did you think of just the whole movie in general?
I did like it.
Yeah.
It has a killer soundtrack.
Oh, of course, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Soundtrack, very killer. Loved it. Mm-hmm. It had a weird mother thing going on.
Yeah.
But, like, it wasn't fully explained.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he mentions his mother, you know, helping him sew and kind of creating this bond he has to sewing and to fashion. And his sister kind of carries on. I thought there was going to be a thing between the sister and Alma.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in the trailer, that's kind of how it's portrayed. Mm-hmm. But that's not what happened.
I'm glad
I'm very happy that didn't happen. And she actually ends up, like, standing up for Alma. Yeah. Which I really enjoyed.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the only thing was, like, when he's sick, he has visions of the mother. And we know that she dies fairly young, like, not super old. We know her wedding dress is lost, and that's, like, kind of, I guess that kind of haunts him a little bit. Mm-hmm. Besides that, I'm really unsure about that part. I did like it, though. One of my favorite scenes is in the beginning, the fireplace when they're on their first date.
Oh, yeah.
And the way he stares at her.
Yeah.
Daniel Day-Lewis, like, not attracted to him in real life. In this movie, 100%.
Yeah.
He's very charismatic, and the way he stares at her, you can tell that he's very much not only attracted to her, but there's something more there. He's like, oh, okay, like, I want to be with her. And he's very upfront. He, like, asks her to dinner. She's just like, sure. Like, despite his age, he's kind of like, he has, like, big dick energy.
Yeah, he kind of does.
He really does.
I feel like Daniel Day-Lewis, just in general, kind of big dick energy.
In general? Yeah, he's got that 3 Oscars.
All the characters he ever plays. Like, Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln, okay.
Yeah, oh wait, and just going back to what we said before, Wikipedia just says a foreign waitress. So
yeah, and she has a foreign accent. Like, still, we're American, we don't know European accents. Yeah, he also talks about the mother on the first date, which I found pretty odd. I'm looking at my notes when I was watching this.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a little weird to bring up on the first date. Mm-hmm. But also, he clearly has, like, an unsolved or what is it called? Unresolved, like, some sort of unresolved tension with the mother that I don't think will ever be resolved.
Well, I think one of the important reasons they brought up the mother is because since she was a seamstress too, and they were talking about weddings a lot, and how that kind of transitioned into oh, he can never keep a partner, which is
That's
such
true.
a critical part of the movie.
Which is true. Is Reynolds in this movie just like a low-key a fuckboy?
Yeah, well, yeah, he does.
Yeah, he kind of is. Wait,
Yeah.
what year is it supposed to be?
Okay, 1950s London.
So is Reynolds just a 1950s fuckboy? Please
Yeah.
let us know, because I'm kind of thinking it.
Yeah, we'll have to do that.
Almost that
another time.
one girl that changes him.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to go into, and maybe in a separate episode, top 5 fuckboys in movies.
Yeah, maybe we will.
Perhaps.
Stay tuned for that. Very excited.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of good ideas coming up, so just wait. I'm trying to think what else about this movie. I really liked it.
They really don't show them physically as well. I feel like a lot of our movies, maybe besides Call Me by Your Name, but even Call Me by Your Name, the sex scene wasn't very explicit.
Call Me by Your Name was definitely more explicit though
than the rest that we've seen. They also I guess maybe because it's 1950s and he's older and she's kind of younger. Yeah. The way they touch, they really don't kiss a lot. Mm-hmm. The only time I feel like I remember them kissing is after they take that dress. Yeah. So there's one part in the movie where he didn't really want to go to this wedding where he designed this wedding dress, but she's like she gives him a lot of money. And I looked up on Wikipedia and it doesn't really say what happens to her. She just kind of like passes out. I don't know if it's because she's drunk or something.
Oh, yeah, no, she's drunk.
Okay, I can't really tell.
Making a really big deal about, how could she be wearing my dress and acting like this?
Yeah, so no, Alma's making a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
She like kind of gets very upset and she's like, how can she be wearing your dress? Like, this is your creation. Mm-hmm. And she very holds it in high regards. And then it's the first time you hear him yell in the whole movie, which I was very shocked about that. Just because in the whole movie he has a very, not calm, but very reserved demeanor. Mm-hmm. Even with Alma, he's very much reserved. He's soft-spoken. And this is the one time where he's like, you better get the dress off her. Yeah. And then as they're leaving with the dress, he just takes her in this lovely scene and they're in front of this window and he kisses her and I was like, okay. Mm-hmm. They're good together.
Yeah, that's one of the, like you were saying, one of the only physical moments. And I sort of think that's because the battle and the relationship between them is so intellectual.
Yeah,
and it's such an intellectual battle the whole time of who has power over who, Not
only who has power, but a lot of the battles also do you still like me? Yeah. That was a big thing too when they go off and he gets sick and then he decides to marry her. Mm-hmm. And then they kind of start doing coupley things. They go to dinners and she's talking with other men.
Yeah.
And there's that whole thing where that woman kind of tries to make him jealous. And she goes to the New Year's Eve party and it's also at that point you were are they still going to be together? Yeah. Because you're maybe this marriage thing obviously was kind of a spur of the moment sort of thing.
Or what about that one breakfast scene where she's putting butter on her toast?
Oh my god, yeah. That was hilarious.
That was a great scene.
There's not much humor in this film. That was one of them.
Yeah.
Or where she where the first time she takes care of him, she tries to bring him tea and he's much better. And he's like, I didn't ask for tea. And then she leaves and she's like, okay, fine, I'll take away the tea. And he's like, no, the tea is away, but the distraction stays. And I'm like, you're so petty.
Oh, he really is.
He's a petty man, I agree.
Yeah, definitely out of all the characters we've talked about so far, the one I'd want to hang out with the least.
Yeah, definitely.
The one I'd want to hang out with.
We can do it at the end of the film.
Yeah.
Characters we most want to hang out with, characters we don't want to hang out with.
I would hang out with Elma though. She seems pretty chill.
She does. Yeah. I don't know if she's chill, but I would like to see. Mm-hmm. So I think our last film of the podcast is our most. It's away from our other. It's different than our other four, in that it's a non-human, human and non-human romance. We talked about it a little bit before, but it's Shape of Water. Director Guillermo del Toro won Best Picture and Best Director, I think, right?
Yeah, such a
really
good movie. This is my favorite movie of 2017, I thought. Oh, gosh. I don't even know where to begin.
Let's start with the plot.
Yeah. So, it's about Elsa, and she can't talk. She was found as an orphan, by the river. And now she works at this, secret government facility in Maryland. So shout out to Maryland, real close by. close to DC.
Yeah, that's where we are if you don't know.
Yes. And basically...
She's a cleaning lady for the
for the facility. And in the facility, there's this, like a amphibian... Like, is that what they call it? Amphibian man?
I think
like
we can call him Fishman.
Fishman, I think that's easier.
Yeah. And basically, she falls in love with this Fishman. And part of the reason their love story, like, they connect to each other, is that they're both people that have been, I cannot think
they're
of
outcasts.
Yeah, they're outcasts in society. He is a Fishman who is from, I think, the Amazon is what they say.
Yeah, he's from the Amazon, but he needs salt water to survive, which is weird because the Amazon has fresh water, but that's okay. I'm not paying attention to that at all.
For ignoring that, still a great film. And she's kind of mute. The woman she works with is Octavia Spencer. So it's also a woman of color. One of her friends, her kind of not roommates, but another person in the apartment, her neighbor, is a gay man. She kind of surrounds herself with these other outcasts in society. It takes place, I think, 1960s?
Yeah, 1962.
Ooh, close. So it takes place in the 1960s. And one of the things I do love about this movie, it's very aesthetically like 1960s. Yeah. Like, it's like Guillermo del Toro was like, we're going to make it the most 1960s it's going to be. Like the color palette, the way the cars are, and all the scenes of kind of where they live and everything. It's very much 1960s. He kind of took it to the max, which I think worked really well for this movie.
Yeah. This is very much like everything is about it is Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
The thing I love is how it's supposed to be a very dark romance or a dark fairy tale. That's what he wanted to be, because when Guillermo del Toro was little, he loved all the monster movies, but he always sympathized with the monsters and was watching Creature from the Black Lagoon and wanted the creature to end up with the lady in it, which doesn't happen. So I love that he just grew up and he was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make the Fishman fall in love with the woman. And it's a relationship that, it works, I think.
Because she doesn't, like, verbally speak. She uses sign language throughout the film.
Yeah.
And he obviously doesn't know English. Mm-hmm. So they have that connection where they don't verbally talk, but they kind of communicate in other ways, which is really cool to see. It definitely, like, the first time I watched it, I was like, I remember I went to go see it in theaters as well, and I was like, I did not want to see this movie. I was like, why would I want to see, like, a fish? I'm like, it's too weird for my views. Yeah, when I first saw the trailer, I was like, I don't know, like, it's a fish man that falls in love with a woman. Like, I don't know how I feel about that. Eventually, like, my siblings wanted to see it, so I went with them, and I was like, oh, it's actually much better than I thought it was going to be. And yeah, and I think it's due not only to, like, the performances, but that the love story is so strong between them.
Mm-hmm. I also think we got to give a shout out to Doug Jones, who plays the Fishman.
Yeah.
And Doug Jones is in so much stuff, but he's always covered in, like, all these prosthetics and, like,
Doug Jones, you're a beautiful Fishman.
So yeah, he does a really good job because you do need, like, emotion, and you have to be, like, very physical in that role.
Yeah.
To, like, make this whole thing work. So props to him. I'm trying to think what else about.
Any, like, specific scenes that you really enjoy?
Okay, I really like the scene where Eliza is imagining in her head them dancing, and she's, like, singing the whole time. Do you remember that? It's
yeah, it's black and white.
Yeah,
that was really great.
I think that scene's really good. I just think the scene where she first sees him, but when he's not in the tank, when he's, like, outside of the tank,
yeah,
he, like, stands up and you can see, like, all of his gills and everything. It's just, like, such a pretty costume.
Yeah, also shout out to Doug Jones. Your butt looks amazing in this film.
Very true.
That was a big thing, I think, when it came out. Everyone was like everyone's like, the Fishman, nah, and it's like a meme, it'd be like, it's butt, and it'd be like, okay. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. There's also, like, a whole, not subplot, but, like, what they're using the Fishman for, and this whole Soviet subplot. Shout out to Michael Stoolbauer. You play a great Russian spy in this film. And that's like it's not the main plot. It does drive, I think, the romance and his need to escape, which is mostly kind of what the film is. It's like, how could they be together if he's kind of enchained? Yeah. Also, the fact I love in the movie when she's talking with Octavia Spencer and she said that they had sex. Octavia's like, how?
Yeah.
So it's like that girl talk moment where
Yeah.
you're like, wait, and then she just kind of like sign language is a thing, and you're like, oh, okay. Like they that's the point. Like they didn't have to show that to
Yeah.
us, but they told us in another way, which I thought was not only like humorous, but also like goes into how like women speak about
Yeah.
their sex lives.
The chemistry between Sally Hawkins and Octavia Spencer.
Was great.
They were so good. They were just so fun to watch on screen, especially when they're always kind of going up against Michael Shannon's character, Michael Shannon is such a good actor.
He always plays villains.
Yeah,
like, do you notice that?
Evil in this.
He's always like a racist or like he did that in what was it?
Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah, Boardwalk Empire. He's always just kind of like maybe it's his face, but like please cast Michael Stuhlbarg as like a nice man. I'd like to see that. I can probably find a movie where he's in it.
Yeah.
Any other specific scenes that you're into?
I like the scene where Michael Shannon's buying a new car. I don't know why. I kind of forget why that scene was important. I think it was just to show his sort of toxic masculinity, because the guy who's selling him the car is like, oh, like, all the best people have this car. And, like, Michael Shannon wants to be the best.
That's true. He is, yeah, definitely, he's kind of this, archetype, of like this kind of man that wants to be better than everyone.
The guy in charge. Yeah.
The guy in charge. Mm-hmm. I really like when the monster goes down to the movie theater.
Yeah.
Where that shot where he, you see him from behind, but he's watching this film, and I think it's a monster film that he's watching. It was like kind of meta, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. Yeah. Also the scene where like the whole apartment's underwater. That was also just beautiful in and of itself.
Yeah, and the way they did that was really interesting because they had all the furniture hanging from strings, and they had a smoke machine.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then I don't know how they got like the water effect over it. I mean, people in movies, they're very impressive.
Very hardworking people.
Very hardworking, but a smoke machine was involved, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Just like another thing I really love is how it's very much a take on Beauty and the Beast, but it's a story where the Beast doesn't need to change for the Beauty to fall in love with him. And I just think that's really cute.
I think that's cute too. Mm-hmm. And you don't need to change for someone to fall in love with you.
No, you don't. If you're a cute little fish man who's just like living his life.
But also like, oh wait, should we talk about the ending?
Yeah.
So this whole the whole end of the movie is them basically trying to put the fishman back into the water to like set him free. They put him in salt water or ocean water?
Ocean water.
Oh no, so I'm not salt water or fresh water. I forgot where they did it.
Oh god.
I think it's supposed to be like
the Chesapeake Bay.
Chesapeake Bay.
It's probably the Chesapeake Bay.
Probably. I don't think they were paying too much attention to where things were happening.
That's okay.
So they have to wait to a certain date, and they're kind of leading up to this point, and Michael Shannon is all like, he's trying to track them down, and then they get to this big kind of fight scene, and he like shoots the beast man. That's not beast man. What am I talking about? Fish man. And she gets like scratched on her neck again, even though she was as a child. And they kind of get in the water, and you don't know if they're like alive or if she becomes a fish.
Definitely not alive.
Well, I had a thing. It's because if you notice in the film, she has those scars on her neck.
Yeah.
And my dad was saying how like they kind of look like gills.
Yeah.
So he thought that she like becomes like a fish woman in the end. And like that's not alluded to at all. This is like a theory into which
at the end, like he kisses her and then touches her neck, and then she starts to breathe again.
Yeah. Yeah, but you don't know if that's more like a so I think she becomes a fish woman. I'm saying it. I'm calling it.
Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying. Okay.
Not that, it doesn't allude the fact that she's, like, can live in the water, or that if she's just, like, alive in general.
Yeah.
But I believe that she's now a fish woman, and they're living happily ever after in the ocean.
Yeah, I believe that they also are living happily ever after, but the cynic in me was thinking, like, if this was to happen in real life, and, like, away from the context of, like, Guillermo del Toro's fantasy land, like, do you think... I don't know. I just feel like if I was Sally Hawkins' character, I would get bored of just being underwater.
But I think she loves him.
Yeah, I hope
Like,
so. I hope they.
It's like she, I don't think was necessarily happy in her own life.
Yeah.
Like she was very much like she in the beginning of the movie. They show this especially where she has this very exact schedule of what she does every day.
Yeah.
And nothing ever changes.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like she wakes up, she does her stuff, she has her egg timer and masturbates. Like she has everything down to what she needs for a T to survive, not necessarily to enjoy life, but to survive life.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, like she found someone that she enjoys, like life with, and I think she would be happy, you know, in the water with him. Maybe not necessarily maybe the land was not where she was meant to be.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe she was just going back to the water.
Because doesn't she have that dream in the film of her whole apartment underwater?
Yeah, I think she does.
Yeah,
that's
so,
the very beginning.
That's my thought. She's meant to be in the water with her love.
Yeah, with the fishman.
Happily ever after, and I think that's a great way to end our top 5.
Yeah, I think it is. So, hold on, before we go, who's your favorite couple out of all of these?
Okay, so this is really difficult.
I know.
Oh my
Because
God.
they're all so different.
Yeah, they're all really different. I have to admit, I am going back to John Keats and Fanny Braun.
That was my answer. That's what
We
I
both
was
have the
thinking.
same favorite
I think
couple?
So, yeah.
Please
I
watch
think-
Bright Star.
I think
Someone please watch this movie.
They were just so wholesome.
They were so wholesome.
I think a close second would be Brooklyn for me.
I was gonna be between them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, that was really great. So I feel like we should end off not only with our favorite couple, who would we like to hang out with the most?
Oh.
Mine would definitely be Saoirse Ronan's character from Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
I think she'd be such a hoot. Like going on double dates with her and Tony? Yes. Love it. Set me up with one of Tony's brothers? Maybe. I don't know if I would go for that.
I think I want to hang out with Octavia Spencer's character and Richard Jenkins' character. It's Giles
Richard Jenkins,
and Zelda.
yeah. He sounds like a fun companion as well.
Yeah, I feel like probably us and Giles would get along for just like loving movies.
Yeah.
That's
true.
I would also.
I feel like I kind of want to hang out with Elio. I don't know if it's like because he's Timothée Chalamet. Or if it's because I feel like Elio as a character, like super awkward. Like that's why I also really liked his performance. He's very earnest.
Yeah.
He's this teenager. Like I don't know what he's gonna be like as an older man.
Yeah.
And he's very into arts and stuff like that, which is not necessarily like my realm of things. I don't know if we would like be friends together, but I feel like we can definitely like go out dancing and it'd be fun.
I don't know. Yeah, Oliver and Elio they're just too deep for me.
That's true. Yeah, they're very like intellectual.
Yeah.
Different in the way that, you know, like Reynolds and Alma were intellectual.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Alma, I feel like it would be fun. She goes to that New Year's Eve party.
Yeah, no, I would hang out with her.
She knows how to have a fun time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, and Jim from Brooklyn. I love Jim. So.
Jim, if you don't know, that's Domhnall Gleeson's character.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, thank you so much for joining us on our first episode of, what's our name?
It's Making Sense of Movies with Clare and Alaina.
Please join us for our next episode. Please review, leave comments, subscribe to our podcast.
Yeah, tell us what you thought of the one night vision scene in Coma.
Please comment on that.
Yeah.
Don't know if anyone else knows about that.
All right.
Okay, and
We'll
see you next time.
Signing off. Bye.